Hello.
Hey, Rich.
How you doing?
Fabulous. I want to set a couple of ground rules on the conversation.
Sure.
Number one, there is no PowerPoint. There is no sales pitch. At the end of this, you're not going to hear me say, if you buy now. This is just a conversation between two guys in the construction industry. One thing I know from over 30 years in business in the construction industry is that contractors have the best bullshit meters on the planet, because somebody's always trying to get something for them for free or blow some smoke up their ass or something like that. And so that's the first ground rule, is that, there's two things to establish in this phone call. Number one is for you to decide if I'm full of shit or not. And then the second part of it is, if I'm not, am I the guy that you want to go into this industry with? Because, I've got an abrasive personality.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right?
All right, sounds good.
The next question I like to ask is, most people when they're scrolling through Facebook, they see an advertisement, they just move on. Something must have caught your eye.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in construction, like I said, electrical construction, and it's, local, and I like the little demonstration, I caught my attention, okay, government, what is this? And I'm listening to okay, this makes sense now. It's a lot bigger pool to be playing in with a lot less fish.
Okay. Did you watch the whole video?
Yes.
So you know about my brother's accident? We didn't just wake up one day and we're the
Right.
GC experts, right?
Right. Yeah, I saw the whole video, yes.
Well, because one of the questions I get from time to time is, if you guys are so freaking smart, how come you're not doing it yourself? And it's like, well, I feel like we have a good answer to that, So then, the next thing I like to ask is, have you watched other videos? Did you go to the proof page that I talked about?
I did not get to that today. I did not get to look at that today. I do want to look at that, see what that is about, yes.
And then how much time do you have for this phone call?
I'm free right now. We're good.
Okay. So I'm going to jump. Okay. Do you have any initial questions for me?
Not right now. I don't know. I covered some of the things on the ad. I was like, okay, let's get more information, see what we got here. You know what I mean? And what we got to do.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about that. So you're one of the million contractors out there. You're an electrical contractor. Now, just so I can establish some street cred with you,
Okay.
I have replaced transformers all across this country, every size from 100 kVA to down to 25 kVA. I know that when I'm putting in a pump with three-phase power, that sometimes I can wire it in correctly and the pump will spin backwards. Is that enough street cred for you?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. I'm not an economist, but I have noticed some things over time. That the economy goes up and down, up and down. I'm not Alan Greenspan, and I'm not trying to teach you about the economy, but I know some things about your business that you may or may not have thought about, and I've been having a lot of conversations with people, and it changes my perspective on things. But what happens is, Rich's Electrical Service does marketing and tries to do deals, and when the economy is going up, you don't necessarily know about it, but something happens at your office, the phone starts ringing. Hey Rich, we need a bid for electrical. Hey Rich, we need a bid for electrical. And all of a sudden the phone's ringing and you're feeling like Superman. Because boy, more work means more money, and oh boy, we love that. But then the economy starts to dip over, and all the stuff that was working last week, everything starts pulling back, and you're going, oh my God, I was Superman last week. Nothing changed. Are our Facebook ads working? It's not your fault, Rich. What's happening is it's the economy, and there's nothing you can do about it. But the economy goes down, and then it comes back up, and oh my God, Rich has been in business for 10 years, and things are looking good. It changes. Do you know what the worst recession in the history books is in this country?
Well, they say back in the 30s was the 1930s. Yeah.
What was it called?
The Great Recession.
It was actually called the Great Depression.
The Great Depression, actually, yeah, you're right.
But it was a recession, and it was 1929, and 9 out of 10 people across this country were out of work. It was that bad. It was the Great Depression. The new president that came in, you remember him? FDR, yeah. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Do you remember what the solution was to the Great Depression?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Have you ever heard of the New Deal? It's Googleable. Everything that I'm about to tell you, you can find on Google. I'm an evidence-based business. Anything that I tell you, I can cite. Okay?
Okay.
But you can Google that, the New Deal. What it was Franklin Delano Roosevelt negotiated with Congress that he was going to flood the market with federal government construction contracts. He built roads, bridges, and dams. If you go to the Hoover Dam today in Las Vegas, that was part of the New Deal. He put Americans back to work using federal money. But there was something unique about the New Deal that had never been done before. Our government had bought construction goods and services before the New Deal. But prior to the New Deal, when they bought construction, it was a cost. Hey, it costs money to buy shit.
Right.
When the New Deal happened, it changed everything because he negotiated with Congress that when we build a road, bridge, or dam, the value of our country goes up, and he was able to balance the books in that method, and that had never been done before.
Okay.
It literally saved our country's economy. But it was federal government construction. You sound like somebody around my age. When was the last recession?
After that was 2008 would be the last one. The next
That's
one.
right. Who was president?
That would have been, Bush and then Obama.
Then Obama. That's right, Obama. It was a recession. Obama issued the ARRA. Again, you can Google that. It's the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act. He flooded the federal government construction market with $150 billion worth of construction contracts. There weren't enough federal contractors to eat the pie.
Okay.
$47 billion of the ARRA money could not be consumed by the number of federal contractors that there were, and it got taken back and it didn't and was unused to stimulate the economy. We come into the picture in 2010 as a solution to this problem. We'll just create more federal contractors. Okay? Flash forward to today. Who's president?
Yeah, dipshit.
You can call him Slow Joe, but he's the guy. He's the guy that issued the Infrastructure Act. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
That's right. What's the Infrastructure Act?
Yeah, it's build back the economy and everything. Build back the economy.
In other words, he's doing what Obama did, and they're doing what FDR did. There are contractors in this country that are smarter than you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? They ride this economy up. When the economy starts going down, they split off into federal contracts. Then when this thing hits over here, they might decide to do some commercial and residential work, but when it pulls back, they split off and do federal contracts. Look, most contractors will work for between $20 and $250 an hour. In other words, if I called you up and said, hey, I've got some variable frequency drives that need to be replaced, and I'll give you $250 an hour to replace them for a week, would you take me up on the deal?
Absolutely.
Are you surprised I know what a VFD is?
No.
But there's some contractors in this country that are making tens of thousands of dollars per hour, but they're not telling you how to do it. Want me to tell you?
Absolutely.
Our federal government works under a rule book when we acquire construction goods and services. It's called the Federal Acquisition Regulations. The FARs. We call it the FARs, the Federal Acquisition Regulations. I want you to Google FAR 13.004A. And somebody told me earlier that they've taken the A off of it. But if you Google 13.004A, it should bring up the right FAR. But the Federal Acquisition Regulations operates all agencies, whether it's the National Park Service, National Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Indian Affairs, IRS, CIA, FBI, Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Air Force, Environmental Protection Agency, United States Post Office, all the 500 agencies all operate under one rule book. It's called the Federal Acquisition Regulations. You and I are going to talk about one FAR, specifically FAR 13.004A. I want you to Google that and tell me what the title of that FAR is.
Hold on a minute here. That has legal
That's
effect.
okay.
Legal, is that right?
Yep, legal effect of a quotation. Legal effect of a quotation. Now, don't get ahead of me, Rich. I can tell you're a smart guy, and you're going to want to go ahead and read that shit. Just stick with me step by step.
All right.
Okay?
Gotcha.
In your business, if you go down the street and you give 10 bids out, 10 quotes, is there anything legal associated with those quotes? Can you just go down the street and give 100 quotes? Is there anything legal associated with those quotes?
Other than whatever the price you're pricing it for, that's it. You know,
But that's not legal. You can change it. That's right. It's not legal. There's nothing legal about it. Okay? But the first thing we read about a quote with the federal government, the whole heading is the legal effect of a quotation. So we're about to read a law, right?
Right.
And that's different than the real world that you've been operating in. Okay? Now I want you to read the first sentence of the legal effect of a quotation. Out loud.
Okay. A quotation is not an offer and is consequently cannot be accepted by the government to form a binding contract.
Okay, so now let's stop right there. Stop reading. Look at me. A quote is not an offer and cannot be turned into a contract. That's different than the real world because, Rich, if you call me up and say, Sean, give me a bid, and I sign a bid and I turn it into you, you can sign it and turn it into a contract, right?
Correct.
Okay? The federal government, the first sentence is, you can turn in all the quotes you want to us and we cannot turn it into a contract, and that's different, right?
Correct.
Okay, now read the next sentence out loud and stop.
Hold on, come on. Therefore, assurance by the government of an order in response to the supplier's quotation does not establish a contract.
So what our government is saying there is that the first rule is we can't turn it into a contract. But some guy might make a mistake and take a quote and turn it into a contract someday. And we just want you, the public, to know that if somebody makes that mistake, they take your quote and they turn it into a contract. Don't worry about it. It's not a contract. Isn't that what that says?
Pretty much, yes. Yes.
Okay, this is, look, it's legalese. It's written by attorneys in Congress. But how I break it down, isn't that what it says?
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah.
Okay, now read the rest of the paragraph out loud.
The order is an offer by the government to the supplier to buy certain supplies or services upon specific terms and conditions. A contract is established when the supplier accepts the offer.
Now look, this is written by attorneys. It's not written for you to understand, but you're a smart guy and you just read that. Can you tell me what that means? Nobody usually can.
My interpretation of that is if they decide they want to do it, they'll do it, and that's it. Pretty much my interpretation. I might be wrong on that, but
You're wrong on that. But let me break it down. What that means is, is I can turn in all the quotes I want. They can't turn it into a contract, but they want to have a contract. So what does it say? They have to offer it back to me. So in the real world, what that looks like is I turn in a bid to replace a 100 kVA transformer for $100,000, and they get the bid. Now they have to offer it back to me. They have to say, hey, we got your bid for $100,000 to replace the transformer. Would you please do this work for what you bid it for?
okay.
When they offer it back, we have 4 options. 4. Number 1, we can accept. Number 2, we can withdraw. Number 3, we can negotiate. And number 4, we can stall for more time. Now, when they offer it back to me, which one of these are they trying to get me to do?
Accept it.
That's right, because they want to get it off their desk, move on to the next one, and offer the next one out to the next guy. They're trying to get me to accept it. They want a contract, but I don't do that. I stall. I say, I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting your call. Can I call you back in 24 to 48 hours? And they go, okay. Off the phone. Now, I'm calling Rich, the electrical guy in Pennsylvania, and I'm saying, hey, Rich, it looks like the Navy needs a 100 kVA transformer taken out and put a new one in. I'm going to send you over the plans and specifications by email. When you get them, just pick up the phone and call me. I'm already familiar with the job, and I'll walk you through it step by step. So then I get on the phone with you, and I say, hey, Rich, I'm not asking you to go figure out what oil's in the transformer and how you're going to have to dispose of it and all that shit. I'm just saying, hey, based on your experience replacing transformers, give me a number off the cuff that if I called you up 90 days from today and said, hey, man, we got the job, that we'd be close enough to negotiate something that makes sense. What would that number be? So now give me a hypothetical number to replace this transformer.
Okay, let's say hypothetical. All right, let's say 100,000.
100,000. Okay, so I bid it for 100,000. He's telling me it's going to cost 100,000. So I call the government and I enter into negotiations and I say, hey, suppose I need to change my bid to 135,000. What would happen then? I enter into negotiations. Give me another hypothetical number.
Let's say 50,000.
50,000. I call the government back up. I accept. I get 50 grand for a couple of phone calls, and Rich is doing all the work. Give me another hypothetical number.
Okay, let's just say 150.
Okay. Holy shit! I turned my bid in for 100 grand. The guy's telling me it's going to cost 150,000. I screwed that one up. I call the government up and I withdraw. So,
right.
Rich, under this situation, is there any risk for any bid that I ever turn in?
No.
No. You can never lose. You only accept the ones that you know what the spread is going in, and that's how federal contractors are making tens of thousands of dollars an hour.
Nice. So then basically we'd be basically working like a subcontractor underneath you, but at a higher rate.
No, you'd be the prime contractor.
Okay. Okay. So where do you make your money?
Who?
You.
Well, what you just experienced is 10 minutes of training from over 28 hours of training. We
nice.
brought people in this room for 3 days and did a 3-day workshop and taught them everything they needed to know about how to be successful in the federal market. You want to see what that looked like?
Yes, I got an idea, but yeah, that'd be interesting to see what it looked like. Yeah, see what that looks like.
Okay, hold on. Here's day 1 of the workshop right here.
And then put the BIG over the opportunities. Big problems equal big opportunities. If somebody needs something, and they really need it, they're desperate to get it done. You understand? That's the opportunity you're looking for, the need. Okay? You focus on the need. Everything gets focused on the need. What's the need? Do you have a budget? Once I understand the need, I focus on it, I understand it, repeat it back to them. Is there anything else you want to elaborate on? Or anything else I should know? Okay, problems like that usually have a budget associated with it. Can you share that with me?
Here's some footage from day 2.
From the need.
I didn't finish this sentence for you. Seth calls me up and says, what do I do? And I told him one of two things are going to happen. I said, number one, you're going to get 100% of your contract amount with 0% complete without doing any of the work. I told him that up front. Don't you just love what I can say to people? Okay, 2. Or you're going to get a big fat change order. Don't you love change orders? Some change orders can be big fat change orders. So I said, now if those are the only 2 outcomes, it's either
Here's
this
some footage
or
from day
this.
3.
You would think he'd be pretty satisfied
Do you
with
remember me saying that the rule was if there's only one bidder, and that bidder is 15% or more above the government estimate, they cannot award the contract? Why does our government, in their infinite wisdom, have that rule? Anybody?
Tax dollars money.
Protects tax dollars, right? Because Sally, what's she trying to do? Get George's job done. He needs it. It's his money. He went and asked for it to fix his fish hatchery. It's sitting on her desk. He needs it done. It's not going to get done until she finds a contractor she can award it to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So suddenly somebody turns in a bid for $1 million. It's only $100,000 worth of work, and they got all this money left over in the budget, and it's real easy to just, man, if we can just push that money out the door, woohoo, we spent all our money, right? Without regard to the value of our government.
Back when we were bringing people into the room, I didn't know the pandemic was going to happen. I was just recording all this shit because I thought it was cool that that these people were coming into the room. Then all of a sudden the pandemic hits, and I go, well, hell, I can't bring people in the room anymore. Why don't I just use the recordings I've already made? I mean, it's the same thing. They're shot from the perspective of being in the room. Why don't I just put that up on the internet, and maybe some guys could use this information? And so I did that, and it turns out people like it better because they can pause it, they can rewind it, they can pause it and pick up the phone and call me and say, you know, hey, Sean, you just said this in the workshop, you know, break it down for me. And we can have a conversation like this, and I can break it down for you, you know? Okay. So what's in it for me? Well, I'm selling access to the workshop. You know, all the training that you need to how to find the jobs, how to bid the job. It's 3 days. You can't teach it in 3 hours. When you invest with me, what it looks like is this. Day 1 of the workshop is 10 hours. Day 2 of the workshop is 11 hours. Day 3 is 7 hours. And this is just kind of a little supplemental video because little nuances change over time. And I put an update video there to kind of describe what that is. And I just tell people, watch this first. Because there's some shit I say in the workshop. As an example, I say PPIRS, but the government changed PPIRS to CPARS. It's just an acronym change. It's the same thing, but might as well mention it. Right. So anyway, that's what the deal is. You give me $5,000, and you know, you said you hadn't gone to the proof page?
No, I haven't. I didn't get that. Yeah.
Well, so look, if you're a client of mine, do I know your company name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we started teaching this stuff 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I know their company names. So this is Dennis of AMG. He came through the workshop in 2014. If you hit play on this, he says, my name's Dennis of AMG. He says it's 2014. Here's the AMG on his shirt. And he's gotten $4 million in contracts. But I could be making that up, right?
Right. Yeah, you could be, yes.
But USAspending.gov is a public watchdog site that chronicles everybody who gets federal contracts because it's public money. It's freedom of information, right?
Right.
So why is it 4.2 here, but my picture shows 4.1? Because he's gotten another $100,000 in contracts. How do I know that? Well, in 2014, he went through our class and he started getting federal contracts. He's gotten $100,000 more since I took that picture. Here's Andy of NBT. He says that in the video. Here's what I say. Here, you click the button. There's what he got. Same thing here. Carlos got 34 million contracts. How do I know? I go to usaspending.gov. And oh, by the way, since I took that picture, it's gone from 34 to 35 million. Okay? You come down here, same thing with ELCI. That video, here's his contracts. Here's Kevin. He started in the industry last year. He owned a small plumbing company. In the video, he says, oh my God, you guys are awesome. He's gotten 1.6 million in contracts. How do I know? You go to usaspending.gov. There's his public profile. And by the way, last year is when he went through the workshop and he started getting federal contracts. I call it my indisputable proof page. You can't argue with me. That's public information.
Right. Gotcha. I understand.
So, like I said in the beginning of this video, there's just two things. Number one, you got to determine if I'm full of shit. Number two, you got to decide if I'm the kind of guy you want to go into this realm with.
And how long? I mean, if you go through this, how long do you usually take to get set up with the government to get all the paperwork and for your contractor and stuff like that, or isn't it?
The paperwork stuff happens over about 10 days to 2 weeks to get you fully registered. I just tell people buy both things for me at the same time. Buy a SAM registration, have my wife take care of that for you. While she's taking care of that, go through my training, stop, pause, ask me questions if you have questions, and then we meet on the other side and we move forward and start getting federal contracts.
Okay. What was the cost of that for the everything for that?
It's $5,000 for the training and $700 for the SAM registration. Here, I'll text you a link. It's real easy. I mean, it's so easy. HTTPS. Here, you can even see it. GCExperts.com, the workshop. When you click on that link, it takes you here to this page. And you just go down here at the bottom, you click this button to get my wife's SAM registration, and when you hit go, it takes you to this page. The training. Simple.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely interested. Now with the payment, is that through card? You use your card, or how do you usually do it?
Yeah, you can use a card, and if at the end of the training you pick up the phone and you call me and you go, Jesus Christ, you're a scam artist beyond scam artists. I want my money back. For any reason or no reason at all, I'll give you your money back. I don't need your money.
Right. Okay, I definitely am interested in this. I do. I got to talk to the wife. She's 50 with me. 50 on my apartment, on my company. But I'm not full of shit. I want to run it through it because I think this would be. I think this avenue is going to be good for us. It would be a great asset for us to go down this road.
Okay, I'm here for it. Look, I was here last year. I was here yesterday. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here next year. There's no pressure. You're not going to get a phone call from me tomorrow saying, "Hey, Richard, we talked on the Zoom." Yeah, that's it.
No, and I, since I saw the video, I've been looking at this, trying to, I just think it'd be a good asset for the company to go that direction, because that way I think it'd be very helpful.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad my street cred with you worked.
Absolutely did. I do think it's going to be beneficial for us, and I didn't want to run by her just because I have to.
Well, I can't. I don't know how. Oh, I've been married 21 years. I tell people, do what my wife says. I've been doing it for 21 years, and it's worked out extremely well for me.
But yeah, I do. I'm definitely interested. I am interested because I do think that not only money wise, but I think business wise, it makes a lot more sense to I mean, it's a lot bigger pond, a lot less fish. People,
yeah.
You know what I mean.
Well, you know, I got an indisputable proof page for a reason.
Right, and I appreciate that, because I mean that makes me a lot more at ease with that, honestly. It's like, just seeing okay, here it is. I'm not lying. I just pulled these numbers out of the hat. Here's what it is. That's reassuring.
Sure.
Definitely reassuring. All right, I'm gonna run this by her. I will get back to you. I promise I will get back to you. And I think we're gonna do the. I think I'm gonna talk her into doing this, because I think it's gonna be beneficial for us. And then with the train, then once through the train, is that always there, or how's that work with the training?
You have access to it as long as you want access to it.
Okay, perfect. That way, I'm starting to bring my daughter up to the company, but I'm learning stuff, and this way, if we go down this road, it's a new avenue to help too. So it's a family thing. So I gotta, I'm looking forward for her.
I've been doing it look, my dad and I are a family thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
I totally get
it. All right, sir. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you going through this with me. I am very excited about this.
Good.
But I will get back to you. I got to talk to the other boss, and then I got all the permission I need, and we can go from there. I'll contact you, and we can go forward from there.
Take care, Richard.
All right, sir. You have a great evening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.